Hello, welcome to McBoss Capital Channel. My name is Michael Chu. This is the U.S. stock market recap video for the week ending August 21st, 2026. Here's Nasdaq Composite Index here on the weekly chart. After coming back from the bottom here recently, we jumped up 2 strong weeks and then we kind of paused last week. But this week we gave back a lot of gains, down 2.05%. We're still above the red line, which is a very key support level, usually for the index. However, if we break it again, we probably will, come into more selling pressure this time as we starting to see more weakness, right? But if we do bounce from here, that'll be very good momentum because then we will have a higher low. This is the first week down since the rebound here, so then that might be a good thing. Again, if we close back up next week towards the near the recent high here, that'll be really good. But again, there's two things that could happen here. We'll see. On the daily chart, this is the Nasdaq Composite. Again, we see on Tuesday it gapped down. Not only did it gap down, it went even further below the 10-day. And on Wednesday, it's just trying to hold there. Again, you see now the 10-day slope has become a resistance level. It is starting to come down, slide down as well. And then on Thursday, we got another big hit. So that we have distribution days on Tuesday and Thursday. Those are big ones. And then on Friday, again, we bounced very minimal and just holding the 21-day line now. So this is starting to look really weak on the technical side. So by my definition, usually below the 10-day, it is considered a downtrend unless it can rebound fast here. And 21-day is usually the main support level for Nasdaq. So if we break that, then we'll obviously come to the red line, and from there, if we break the red line again, then like I said, because a lot of people have starting to give up here, and if we drop below the red line again, then more people will probably give up, right? And selling pressure could rise. So and next week we have the Fed meeting, and we also have Nvidia earnings, the two big things that's going to happen. That could definitely move the market as well. SPY also suffer a weekly drop of 1.43%. Pretty much very similar story, except this one has already made a new high in the previous weeks here, the last 2 weeks on the bounce. But again, this week it given up. It's still way above the red line, so this looks more positive on the weekly chart. On the daily chart, we are again seeing that it is above the red line 50-day, but on the short term, we are below the 10-day here, right? And we have the same thing, the big drop on Tuesday and Thursday, and Friday we have a very minimal bounce, up 0.4%, but that's off the top of that range as well, so that's not a good sign. Dow Jones on the weekly chart looks a little bit uglier because it is the second week down. It is coming closer to the red line here, which it did recently, right? But so this will be another test here, down slightly less than the other index, 0.8% for the week. On the daily chart, again, we're seeing this slide down slowly since coming up, and we couldn't have much power to bounce back, even on this day here on Wednesday. It closed at the low end, and then Thursday we kind of moved down very strong. On Friday, we did bounce back almost 1%, so that is the good sign. But however, we are still near or below the 10-day right now. So unless we bounce out from here, then this will look like a support level near the red line here, and that will be a good news. But again, we need to see that fall through. We don't have much room for failure here if we continue to slide down. Like I said, there's going to be more selling pressure into the market. Here's Russell on the weekly chart, also down 1.65% for the week here after coming up 3 weeks in a row and making new high. So again, we are at a very important juncture, the red line here. We need to see support. On the Russell 2000, we also see it came close to the red line here and then bounce again. It's okay bounce, 0.8%, but the main thing is we are below the 10-day. And in a downtrend, the 10-day can become a resistance level. So as this are starting to come down, we need to see a breakthrough here, and that will be very important. Here's CapForce IBD50 ETF. This one has been suffering quite a bit. As you can see, we have been sliding weekly to weekly basis, and then even last week it was bouncing very minimal here, and then this week we again closed at the bottom at the low of the range, making new low. So again, the momentum in growth stocks hasn't been well. It's been very choppy at the best. So definitely not the best time to be very aggressive. Here's the daily chart. You can clearly see a make new low. Also seeing the 1021 day has been acting as resistance level recently. Just couldn't come back up. Again, growth stocks momentum has been very weak. So this has been a turbulent week even for the bond yields here, going up and down, and but it did close the week at the near the top again at 4.73%. This also kind of related to the news that U.S. has crossed the 40 trillion debt level, which is pretty high, obviously, and that also spooked the market here this week. And obviously, we have lots of news with the U.S. oil, Iran stuff that's still happening. And then obviously we're going to have Fed meeting coming up. So lots of news, and the long-term yield has been rising recently as well. And after the news on the 40 trillion debt came out, it also like spooked the dollar. As the yield rise and the dollar dropped significantly on Wednesday here, staying at the lows Thursday, Friday without any bounce. So that's a problem there. Here's the oil price, continue to climb higher for the 6 days in a row. This is a remarkable move right now. Gold price also jumped a lot after, on Wednesday here, uh, and then Friday hitting a new high right here, 1.95%. Silver also followed the same, jump 1.72% on Friday, hitting a new recent high. Copper was able to bounce back on Friday as well, up 1.63%. Another big move also came in on the Bitcoin. From Wednesday, it jumped quite significantly, breaking out of this long-term trend line here. And then that was up 6%. Thursday, it followed through another 6%. On Friday, it went up another 6%. So that is a very remarkable move right now, coming back on the right side of the base. Next week, we have the Fed Chair Kevin Warsh will be speaking at the Central Bank's Jackson Hole Economic Symposium on Friday here, so we can maybe hear some of what he was thinking about in terms of the rising Treasury use currently, and also the July personal consumption expenditure price index on Wednesday, University of Michigan Consumer Sentiment Index on Friday. And again, the big earnings with Nvidia come out on Wednesday. We also have Salesforce, Intuit, and Marvel reporting as well. Here's QQEW, the equal weight Nasdaq 100. This one also has been sliding down to the 10-day, and this one is actually stronger than the Nasdaq, right? Because this one has hit new high, and it did bounce off Friday, so that's something good. But it's still near the 10 days, so it could easily break that again. We'll have to see, but it did find support here, so that's a good sign. RSP also bounced a little bit here on Friday, also finding support near the 10 days, so we'll have to see if it can continue this momentum. So this is for S&P equal weight. Here's the WenX Semiconductor ETF dropping 4.6% for the week, also suffering a big drop here under, probably the worst of all is that it is under the red line here, so we clearly got rejected, trying to bounce back. On the daily chart, you can see on Tuesday we had that big down day. Surprisingly, Thursday it didn't drop that much. Friday it kind of reversed, getting rejected at the short-term 10-day as well. So right now it doesn't look very good. We could set up for lower lows here. Here's Nvidia pulling back really strong right now towards the 21-day, which if we want to see support, we need to see it now. Otherwise, it will go down further towards the red line here on the 50-day. TSM also rejected at the red line here, 50-day. AMD is also below all the short-term moving averages, just like the index. ARM is also doing the same thing, very weak right now, below the 10-day. Intel is also looking worse as well, coming down. And Broadcom has come down really far here below the 200 days. So it did try to bounce on Thursday and Friday, but so far it don't have the power to pass through that line. So overall, all the chips are not looking as good. Here's the IGV, the iShares software sector ETF here. We did climb like the index, like the general market index, climb up for 3 weeks. And then this week we did suffer a pullback, but the pullback is very minimal here, 0.68%. So that is still looking very good. On the daily, you can see it better. It is starting to form this nice handle looking here, holding really well at the 10-day. And Friday, it did bounce to Wednesday and Friday, both day bounced here. And Friday bounced back 1.43%. Here's Palantir actually closing at new recent high. So this is up 3.4% on Friday when the market was not doing that well. So this is really good news because and also we clearly see support level near the green line here. It never want to touch it. So that's always a sign of strength. So I would be paying more attention to this stock going forward. Microsoft is just holding very tight. Not much strength in terms of bouncing, not like Palantir did, but at least it's holding the 10-day very tightly. So maybe a good sign. Maybe we'll see a bounce soon. If not, it'll come down to the pink line there, 21-day. Here's Google, also not moving much, but it also not going down much. So again, very tight trading. This is very interesting behavior, very tight trading. So maybe we need some good news for it to move up. Here's Amazon also been sliding, and you can see Wednesday we peak out here, but it couldn't hold up on Thursday and Friday. It came back down, so that is negative because we're making a newer low here. Here's Meta, also not looking good. It came down hard and then just went sideways, looking like an L-shaped pattern, which is a very bearish pattern, while the 10-day is catching up, coming down here. So that's not a good sign either. Here's Apple. It tried to bounce back this way. Again, got rejected here, coming back down and still holding near the 10/21 50-day line. They're all converging around this area. So we'll see what is the next big move. But it already tried to move up, but it couldn't. Maybe the second time it might work. We'll see. SpaceX this week, kind of give back some of the gains here. It did come down by Thursday very hard. On Friday, it tried to hold that 10-day, found support at the pink line 21-day. So that's where we at. So it's trying to find support here. So we'll see if we can hold. Tesla also bouncing really strong here to the red line, which is the 50-day. So that is good news. It has been making higher lows and higher highs, and now we're at the 50-day. It has recovered, not quite half, but at least quite a bit from the bottom here. So if we can cross that red line, that would be really good news. Here's Netflix still slowly grinding higher here, finding support near the 10-day. It touches it quite many times. Wednesday it jumped up quite a bit, and then Thursday, Friday it fell back down, but very minimal, 0.6% on Friday. So you can see it's kept most of the gains of Wednesday, still way above the 10-day. So that to me is strength. So something to pay attention to. Thank you all for watching this video. In my next video, the second half will be related to the growth stocks I follow. You might want to see what's coming up, especially in the tech area, in the health and commodities. And energies, those seems to be the area of strength right now. Yeah, thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe.